Well, Broncos country, what is up, man? Happy draft day. The first round is complete. And I'm joined by my good friends Kodiak and Jeremy. We do got Andy on the way. He's just going through a couple of technical difficulties. But we are going to break down the first round of the draft, man. A lot of surprises, lots of trades, especially late. And maybe, talk about some potential targets for the Broncos now that we know who's not going to be available for sure. And, how some teams drafted in terms of specific positions, I think can give us a little bit of an idea. So, gentlemen, how you guys doing tonight, man?
Pretty good. Feeling great. Yeah, I'm liking where this draft is headed. A lot of good players still available for us.
Yep. I feel the same.
What were the biggest surprise? Anything kind of like stun you? Like, have you jaw dropped a little bit from the draft today?
Mine was Ty Simpson. I just seemed like, oh shoot, that makes sense, but nobody talked about it, so they were smart to keep that to themselves.
Yeah, they definitely did. Good question here by Hydra Ammo saying, what do you guys think of Peter Woods falling that far?
It's tough because, I want to not like the pick. But I think it was a really smart pick by Kansas City. Woods, obviously he has all the talent in the world, but, this past year was kind of wishy-washy at Clemson. But I still thought he was a worthy first-round prospect. I think the Chiefs, they made it out well.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to me, it just signals Chris Jones is nearing the end here, and that's probably what they were thinking there.
And also, This has been Peter Woods' range for a while now, though. So, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with it. Like, I didn't want them to get one of the weapons. When Mekhi Lemon was kind of dropping, I was worried they get him. I did not want them to get Omar Cooper. Just because I know, like, what Mahomes can do with legitimate weapons like that. But they ended up, going. Peter Woods, I mean, we'll see. I think Spagnuolo will probably get a lot out of him, but I didn't really understand the trade up that they did to get Mansour Delane. I mean, I thought he's a good player.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. I was terrified that was for Sonny Styles. I was like, oh no.
I know, me too, man.
My heart sank. No. Like, my heart fell in my stomach. I was like, oh my God, the Chiefs are going to get Sonny Styles. Yeah.
I bet they just fell in love with Mansour like early in the process, and they're like, we have to make sure we get this guy. So I guess it's smart to secure the person that you want, if you like a guy, get your guy, but it did feel like you could have just waited and you gave up 2 picks. But again, as soon as I said that in the chat or in the Discord, everyone, a couple people were like, they must have had inside knowledge that.
Yeah. I mean, you would assume.
You would assume.
Yeah. I don't think you just make that to make it, but it's weird. I'm trying to add Andy, and there he goes again. All right, we'll figure all this out. This is actually a good prep for tomorrow's show. I got all these things set up, but now I got to figure out how to utilize it. So we'll wait for him to get back in. I'm not sure what's going on, but
let's talk about Caden Proctor. Hydramo just brought it up in the chat. Caden Proctor, man, he's one of those guys that I like. Like, I think he has a lot of upside at tackle, but he is an enormous human, and I'm a little nervous, man, because it gives me flashbacks. You guys remember Juwan Taylor when he was coming out 6 years ago? Like, I loved him. I loved him as a prospect, but there were questions about his weight, and he got up to like 380 before the season began. And with Caden Proctor, like, I don't think he has enough, like, how do I put this? Like, I think he has the athletic traits to survive on the outside, but man, he might be getting a little too up there. And yeah, I thought where they got him was a little too rich. I think he just has too low of a floor for what Miami took him.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm one of those where when you look at somebody like of his size and he seems to move pretty damn good, and I feel like he's going to play a lot lighter than he played in college. You can at least look at him and say he's got crazy upside for a tackle, like absolutely insane. Sorry, I'm just ranting with Andy real quick. I think that it's. I didn't hate the pick, but I felt like by far and away the team that just absolutely shit the bed was the Arizona Cardinals, in my opinion.
That was when your cupboards are that bare, it's just
I was thinking to myself, like, all right, they're gonna trade back in the first round. They're gonna take Ty Simpson. Like, maybe you can at least sell it there. You're like, all right, if you nail it with with Ty Simpson, then you can kind of justify that pick. They didn't even do that.
No. They didn't.
They just took. Listen, I think Jeremiah Love is unbelievable. I think he's a generational running back talent. And y'all know how I feel about running backs in the first round. And if he went to a team like Tennessee at 4, it would have made a lot more sense because they added a bunch of pieces in free agency, right? They have their franchise quarterback. They've got a new coach who I think is really good. It would make a lot more sense. But Cardinals, after you paid Tyler Algier and you still got James Conner, a whole bunch of money. By the way, speaking of, that'll be a good topic to talk about to get Trey Benson here. But you took a running back is absolutely absurd. They're not going to be good for 3 years. By that point, who knows what Jeremiah Love is going to be or if he's going to want a new contract. It was an F- pick, the worst possible pick I think that they could have made, like realistic pick that they could have made, in my opinion.
It reminds me of Atlanta taking Penix after they just gave Cousins a contract. Now, I mean, that's quarterback, so you got to, if you like somebody, do it. But running back already is like such a devalued position. So to do that at 3 was like, they must really, really like him. All right, there we go.
Yeah, but just like you said, man, quarterback, that makes sense at least. You're like, damn, if you're going to be safe at a position, hey, having 2 is even better than having 1. And obviously it hasn't really worked out for him. But I thought the Jeremiah Love pick was terrible. Andy, how you doing, man? I think you probably were just switching so many tabs and doing so many different things during the draft. I think you just crashed out your internet, bro.
I think I did because during the draft, I think 12 tabs open, and then it was just too much on my computer. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Hopefully I'm back. Yeah, hopefully I'm back.
Now you should be good.
You seem good.
It sounds good. But any thoughts, man? Your initial thoughts on the draft? We talked a little bit about some picks that we liked. They talked about Proctor. I obviously ranted about how I thought Jeremiah Love was a terrible pick. But what stood out to you the most, man? Anything kind of catch you by surprise?
Bain falling to 15, and then in Tampa Bay getting Bain at 15 was insane to me because coming into this draft and last night I was on mainly Broncos with Cam and all them, and I picked for the Buccaneers in their mock, and at 15 I said this is a horrible spot to be in and they are not going to get a good player, pretty much. And then Ruben Bain fell to them, and
crazy. I know.
Their one need. They needed an edge, and they got Ruben Bain at 15. I mean, they aced it. That was the best pick of the night, in my opinion. And then the other one I really liked was the Eagles moving up for Mekhi Lemon. They're going to trade A.J. Brown, so bring in the reigning Biletnikoff winner, who's extremely productive, super tough, and just I really like him in that offense. Those were the 2 best picks of the night, in my opinion.
Yeah. I like Lemon in that offense because they do kind of, base it around the run. But do you have any concerns that it's a really small wide receiver group with him and Devontae Smith? There's not much size there.
Assuming they trade A.J. Brown on June 2nd or whatever, they need to go out and get an X receiver because their other receiver right now is Hollywood Brown, I think. So that's a small receiver room. They need to go out and get a real X. But just in terms of talent, like a Devonta Smith and Mekhi Lemon wide receiver duo is one I really like.
Yep. It's funny because if Jeremy played for the Eagles, I think he'd be the biggest receiver on their team, right, bro?
Yeah,
probably.
6 foot.
And Kodiak would fit right in. Me and him. We'd be competing for a slot, no problem.
Dude, I'm 5'8", 140. I'm right along their archetype of what they look for.
Yeah,
140.
No, but I like the pick to Lemon. I thought it was cool because it was a really unique pick. For Roseman too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
He kind of. I don't think anybody would have seen that coming. But who do you think, Andy? Of all of them, was the worst pick?
Ooh,
objectively. And I hate talking like that because obviously they're all people. But
yeah,
what did you not like? Or maybe from a fit standpoint.
I mean, there were a couple I really didn't like because this was a year. One interesting note: there were 9 players drafted tonight that finished outside of my top 32. That's got to be a record for me. It's an insane year in that regard. But there was only one pick I screamed at, and that was Caden Proctor going 12 to Miami. I had Crispy, as it were, 37th overall. I really just question the discipline at the next level. I mean, when Nick Saban talks about you as all the talent in the world, but couldn't keep his weight in check, and when you let him leave for an offseason, he comes back 30 pounds bigger than you want him to be. When Nick Saban is saying that about someone he used to coach, I wouldn't take him at number 12 overall. So that was the pick I didn't like. He has a really high upside, and he could be really good, and he could make me look stupid, but I just did not like that pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little bit before you got here.
Yeah,
like,
I thought it was interesting, man. I mean, I guess we'll see. It's funny because you talk about, I didn't know Nick Saban had said that about his weight, and now not only is he going to have a lot more time off to try to keep his weight in check, but he's going to be a lot richer, and it is a lot. I feel like if I struggled with keep my weight down and I got a whole lot of money,
dude, and I'm going to Miami.
It'd probably still be a struggle for me.
You're spending it at the food, yeah.
And I'm in Miami. I'm getting those world-class restaurants on South Beach. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well,
Dude,
you know why?
Yeah.
You know why his nickname was Crispy, right?
Krispy
Why?
Kremes.
Because he ate too much Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
is
ate
that why?
Yeah, he ate too much Krispy Kreme, and
That's
everyone
funny.
just called him Crispy. And then Alabama made a package for him called Crispy, and it was the one where they got him the ball. It was called the Crispy package.
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
I saw him
like
move.
that.
When I was watching Proctor, like I saw those jumbo.
Oh, I
packages
mean-
they good. He was nuts for his size. Like
Most-
the way he was able to move.
He's the most athletic mover I've ever seen at 360 pounds. Like that's what he was playing at for a couple of weeks, and he could
Yeah.
move at 360. So it's like if you can keep him at 330 for his career, he's gonna be good. But it's just a risk, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I and here's what I was confused about too. When I was doing my mock, I was actually doing a lot of like research on the types of defense that Green Bay used to run when they were there, like defensively, because I know obviously Miami and what they were going to do, like with that pick 30 particularly. And I remember them being a team that played. They were like when I did the Broncos and Packers recap, and correct me if I'm wrong, I felt like they were very opposite. Like they did not play man a lot; they played zone a lot.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at the Chris Johnson. I mean, how does Chris Johnson fit as a zone corner, like a press man zone, well, a press zone corner? Because they say what I was seeing is that the guy Jeff Hafley runs a lot of press as well. And then I was looking at Chris Johnson. They were saying he struggles quite a bit with press, and he's more of like, I don't know. I haven't looked at him too much. But any thoughts on that from a fit standpoint? Was that a little bit weird, or did it make sense to you?
It made a lot of sense to me because Chris Johnson was my number 19 overall player. My cornerback 3, I'm a huge fan of him. And I really liked him because of how clean of an evaluation he is. I didn't think there was a lot of weaknesses on tape. I didn't think there was a lot of missteps on tape. And it kind of reminded me of the only reason this guy is not going to go higher is because he played in the group of 5, which was the same thing that was said about Quinyon Mitchell coming out. And Quinyon Mitchell now, top 3 corner in football probably. But yeah, on the fit standpoint, Chris Johnson, yeah, there's a little, like, he's not as good in press, but I don't think it's a big enough concern to like not take him at 27. I really liked that pick on a fit standpoint, on a just a value standpoint, and I think he fits the Hafley tree very well because, and I know this especially because in a draft group chat I'm in, one of the Green Bay people immediately said, "Oh, this is such a Green Bay pick from Miami." So yeah, I think it makes sense on so many levels. I really liked that pick.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, I was fascinated with Miami because it's like the draft is so great for a team when your roster is like legitimately just being gutted inside out because it's like just take the best players available. And it was interesting that they picked Chris Johnson. I know there was a lot of hype around him, and some people were saying he was a first-round lock, so it happened. And then 32 happens. And Jeremy, how did you feel about Jadarian Price? I know you told me that you had to throw up in the shower real quick before you got on here.
Well, it wasn't in the shower. I was going to throw up before the shower. See, I was
before the
planning
shower.
ahead. Yeah. No, that was a bummer. I was pissed. I had a feeling that could happen the whole time, but after you see enough mocks where he's sliding and sliding to like the 50s, I was like, ooh, if he can go into the 50s, we can pounce. So I was disappointed. But that's the way the draft goes. Now you switch it up, But yeah, I hate Seattle, and they just gave me another reason to hate them.
They did. I was gonna pull up Andy's board here, and while I do that, y'all can give me a second. Kodiak, is there any other picks that really stood out to you the most? I feel like there was one I wanted to bring up and get your thoughts on because I thought that it was a funny one, but I can't think about it. But anything else that you felt like was unique or interesting?
Well, we haven't talked about Minnesota yet. I think everybody had them like chalked with Thiedemann for months. And Thiedemann was my number 4 overall player in the class. I was like, this is every bit of an elite prospect. At least that's what I saw. So then I was just like, okay, with the safety position being relatively devalued, I got it. That being said, Caleb Banks, I get it. All the potential in the world, athletic upside up the wazoo, but you need some sort of production to back you up. And Caleb Banks not only had I forget how many major foot injuries it was within the past year or two. But he basically had no production to back him up. And that's a big red flag to me. That was another kind of stunner. I was just and I think part of why it was a stunner is because it was Iane with the Ravens. That pick had been chalked for months. And I thought it was a similar thing with Thiedemann to the Vikings, but nope. Then Thiedemann goes to the Bears and they got a Brisker replacement. Hell of a pick by them. But yeah, Banks, once again, he was another guy who a lot of people were talking about at 62. And then, one more that I wanted to talk about was Kenyon Sadiq at 16. That was a little surprising to me because I didn't think the Jets would dip into that bucket, especially after drafting Mason Taylor last year. But you know what? I get it. I guess Darren Bougie's cooking over there. And, they have all these weapons, you said. They have all these weapons, but no quarterback. So it's going to be interesting. But it looks like they're trying to build the infrastructure of the team. They're building, obviously they took Bailey and then they got Cooper and Sadiq. So it's interesting to see what they can do to build around what they can do to build their team before they hopefully get their eventual quarterback.
I thought the Jets cooked, man. I thought they had a really good draft. Maybe not necessarily with the Bailey pick. I mean, but it's fine. I mean, if he ends up working out, but the other two are good. I liked a lot what the Giants did. I felt like the Cowboys, even if I could recall. Yeah, I mean, with Malachi Lawrence and then being able to freaking sit there and get Caleb Downs at 11. I thought was pretty damn good too. Andy, I have your board, but I don't have it updated with who got drafted where. I know you probably put that. So if you wanna do the share screen, I can pop it up and then we can look at it to discuss potential guys that might be available in 30 picks.
Let me send you. Let me say, because on my board I put a landing spot for everyone and then left the teams open.
Yeah, and while you do that, BK, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
Thanks so much
BK,
for watching.
man.
Always coming in the comments and commenting. The super chat is incredibly kind, but just having y'all watch and comment is enough for all of us. So very much appreciate that, man.
Yep, and I think he not only gave one to you, but me too. That's awesome.
He did.
Thank you very much, BK.
Always is the man.
Always fun to see.
Oh, he gave you a penny more? Wow. All right.
Damn.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's personal.
Thanks, David. I worked. This layout took me probably a lot longer than it should have. So I appreciate you. But yeah, took a long time to set up. I have 7 of them set up. So I'm ready for tomorrow. We're ready for tomorrow. Somebody had said earlier, I thought you guys were going live during the draft. That is tomorrow for the Broncos pick.
Yes.
We will be live at 5 p.m. I just sent it out to a bunch of people. So I think we'll have a core group that are going to be there for most of the time, and then we'll have other guys just jump in as they please. So
yeah,
really excited about that one.
Yeah, I'll be with you guys live for the pick, but immediately after I'm going to make a short, and then I'll come right back in.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. I might have to take the morning or something off tomorrow because man, my brain is spinning from the draft, and then we had the Discord. I was like, should I spoil pick? Should I not? Then I was watching the Avs and I was watching the Nuggets. It was an insane day. And I realized I can't handle that as well as I used to in the past. So
well, let's hope
did you send it, Andy, or what did you do? Sorry.
I'm sending it right now. Sorry, I had to make
okay,
another copy.
No, you're good. Let's see what else. He said Panthers that is the other team I wanted to talk about. Was the Panthers. I liked what the Panthers did by
Freeling,
taking Freeling, building out in the trenches. I thought that was awesome. Is Jeremy still the Eli Raridan unbeliever?
I'm an unbeliever at 62. Yes, I am.
I must have.
100%.
I saw that there was a little bit of back and forth. I didn't catch it because again I was doing a million things. But
Right.
Well, I said earlier
you can
because
feel.
I was watching David and Mike's video from earlier, and they were going on and on about Eli Reardon. And so I wrote in the comments, I said, how come nobody mentions that this guy's torn his ACL twice in 10 months? I know it was a few years ago, but like that's still a thing. And just it's just completely never mentioned ever. And I was just like, there's a reason why. I mean, Jake Butt happened. I remember that pretty
Yeah.
well. So it's just something. I mean, it's just something to quantify, and I don't feel like he has great like he's a real good linear runner, but like I don't know if how good of wiggle he has. He seems like he's pretty stiff. So I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate here.
I love it.
I like you throwing.
I think we need
some
more
cold
disagreements, man.
I like you throwing up the cold water on that because you know what? I think as time has gone on, I've been like just skyrocketing Eli Reardon up my board to the point where I was a little surprised to see him not taken tonight. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, obviously. No, but I think, just him being able to be like 2-3 years removed from that, and then him being able to, play a full college season, with Notre Dame, over the past 2 years. I think he didn't get much run in 2024 because of the fact that they had Mitchell Evans. But this past year, he was more than up for the test. The test guy I thought he's actually pretty good with his wiggle. I think he's good as a, like obviously he has good straight line speed, but I seem like I'm a little bit higher on his like short middle of field ability, and same with his route running.
Andy, where do you have him on your board?
Reardon, in the 80s. I forgot it. He's tight end 4 for me.
Okay.
85. Okay, so I have him as a day 2 prospect, but I don't think he's picked tomorrow. He's one where I'm really interested to see where he ends up because I could see some teams having him as a 3rd rounder and some having him as like a 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
I think the medicals are so big on him, man. Like,
yeah,
if they come back clean, I think he'll certainly go tomorrow. If not, you'll see him drop, and I think you'll know strictly because of the medicals too. But all right, let's get into this, man. So obviously we got a top 10 player still available in Jermod McCoy at 10. There was a lot of rumblings that teams might be worried about the injury. My big fear right now, guys, is that he continues to fall and he's available at 62 and the Broncos are like, screw it, he's the best. We had him as a 1st round pick.
I know Darian
and they
would
take
be
Jermod
excited.
McCoy. What would be your initial reaction, Andy? I'll let you start with it first because you were the few that was like really optimistic and super pumped about the Jahdae Barron pick last year, which I understand because you had him ranked really high.
I had him 10th, which was where I have McCoy.
So
like,
this is the bad luck number.
it is.
Well, we got Bo Nix, so maybe not. Bad luck.
But yeah, Jermod McCoy is. I like him, and if we took him at 62. I'd be happy because he's a top 10 player on my board, but then I'd be like, oh, he's a corner who has he was a very, it's not even a bad, like, past injury history. It's the worry is his future injury history is that, like, one of the reports on him is that he might require another knee surgery in, like, 3 months, and within the next 3 months if something pops up again, which would put him out his rookie year.
Yeah.
If you draft McCoy at 62 in some world, if he slips, and then you trade Riley Moss for a 3rd round pick, yeah, I'd really like that because I think McCoy has upside to be like a cornerback 1 type of player. With that being said, I don't think there's a chance he falls to 62 because it's the same exact case as Will Johnson last year, like 1-for-1 thing, and there are not as many good players on the board as Jermod McCoy as there were like last year compared to Will Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be pretty fun not fun. It'd be hilarious. I would be obviously pretty damn pissed, but it would be so funny to see the fallout. Broncos country would just crash out. They would just absolutely crash out. But we do have, looking at like some of the other guys available on your board, 23, 24, and 25 with Emmanuel McNeil, Warren, Pregnon, and Denzel Boston. Guys, Jeremy or Kodiak, does any of these guys, are you hoping, fall to us? Or obviously, CJ Allen maybe?
Yeah, I mean, There's a couple really good. I mean, I think McNeil Warren's intriguing here. I think he's going to be gone within the first 5 picks of tomorrow. But Pregnon, man, since he is an older prospect, I could see him falling a little bit. That would be a lot of fun because he checks out analytically. He checks out, athletic wise, and he also checks out, with pretty much everything besides age. Like he's a very, very clean prospect by all accounts, the way you look at it. So that'd be a lot of fun. The only thing is our interior pipeline is really strong, but I don't know what you guys think. Like if Pregnon was there, would you guys, would you guys sprint the pick in, or is there too many other needs that you have that are more pressing that we need?
I love Emmanuel Pregnon.
Mm-hmm. How would you feel about a guard, Jeremy?
I mean, as excited as you could get about a guard, probably.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's one of those where you're definitely like whelmed, right? But
yeah,
you also understand that like it's probably a really smart pick.
Could be,
But smart picks aren't always the sexy picks. That would kind of be the definition of it. And
it's
so
like eating your vegetables.
Yeah, exactly right. So I think going through it is like, all right, so now the top 3 picks of the draft of the second round are 3 completely different teams. You got the Niners, the Cardinals, and the Bills. Where do you guys think that those teams could go? This will kind of give us an idea of how the second round might go. So you got the Niners, who haven't picked, they just traded out. Anybody's like a stands out to you? Anyone that it could make sense of a need for them?
I think Boston is probably gone to San Francisco or Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like one of those 2 teams is probably going to take him within the first. Yeah.
I know early on in the process, there was a lot of buzz of Emmanuel McNeil Warren to the 49ers, and 33 would be a really solid value for him. It's a need. John Lynch is their GM, former safety. It would make sense I think Emmanuel McNeil Warren is off the board within the first 7 picks, because I know Cleveland loves him at 39 or wherever they're picking. And then, Boston's off the board probably. And then I think McCoy could be off the board in those first 3 picks.
Yeah. No, I would agree. And I think if you start to get into like, you got to look at the guys ahead of us. So you got the Rams ahead of us. They took a quarterback, and they do have a need for a linebacker. So that might be a team that you got to look at maybe jumping in front of. I know it's so hard to predict it. And then San Fran's got 2 picks. They need a guard and a tackle. They also need a safety. So I don't know. I guess I don't know how much today's draft changed your mindset, if at all. But any thoughts about what you guys think for the Broncos? Ideally, in terms of your number 1. I don't know, Andy. I don't know if I know like if you could wave a magic wand of like a realistic prospect for the Broncos at 62. Who would that be? Like your number 1 hope?
It's either Pregnon or Grayson Halton. It's a trench pick at 62. And I'm not like defaulting to the trenches here. I think it just depends who's available. But I love Emmanuel Pregnon and I love Grayson Halton. Both would make me very happy in that range.
Yeah.
Trading up a few spots even.
I'd be fired up with both. I like Grayson Halton a lot. Jeremy, now that your buddy's price is gone, who are you eyeing?
I mean, because of need and because of who I don't want on the field, probably Jacob Rodriguez in a trade up. That's probably my number 1. I would be very excited. I've seen you mock it, and I've seen other people mock it, and I think it's really smart. A trade back for Kyle Lewis would be great as well. Pick up some more picks, and then you can get a safety, and you can get maybe Katron or somebody like that later, but or a Roush or tight end later. I'm high on Dallin Bentley too. So to me, Jacob Rodriguez is probably number 1 for me. Where we're at right now, or you can't go wrong with interior defensive line too.
Kodiak.
So my wants are going to be a little out there. Like I've talked about Raritan being my number 1 for a while now, and that's just me like sticking to my board and what I see. But obviously he's not a guy who I think the NFL is going to value as highly as I do. That being said, if you're talking about guys that I really want that are going around that range, Anthony Hill, somebody that I'd really, really like. Same with Rodriguez, Golday, Allen, like all of these linebackers because Jeremy kind of alluded to it, of who I don't want to see on the field as much this upcoming year. But either way, I know Trotter is somebody who's getting a lot of like buzz around Broncos Twitter spaces right now. Man, he's like Nick Bolton Jr., man. First, second down, he's giving you a lot. But on third down, he's kind of one of those guys that you probably want to take off the field. But, for your first, second down run defense, our D-line's kind of spotty against the run. So, especially against the more physical teams. So I think that might help a little bit. But, yeah. So ideally, I'm still eyeing tight end or linebacker with that pick.
Let me ask you this, Kodiak, real quick.
Yeah.
You were super high on Mike Washington, and he's
yeah.
kind of disappeared in a lot of like early talks. Where are you at currently?
Yeah, like Mike Washington, again, he's one of those guys that I don't think he'll be there, but I think, I would sprint the pick in if he were there, because once again, at running back, just give me the ceiling, dude. At running back, just give me a guy who runs a 4.33, 223 pounds, like with just jaw-dropping elusiveness with what I was able to see at Arkansas. Like, I would love that pick. Once again, he's one of those guys that I feel like the Twitter space is kind of, riding out, because I don't know why.
It's the fumbles, I think.
It's the fumbles,
the ball security,
the fumbles, and the fact that early in his career,
and
he
the
wasn't
production.
really a strong producer. He hasn't really been a strong producer until this past year. So, yeah. But I know Andy kind of said it, that when you produce in the SEC the way he did on a 2-10 team, I'm willing to overlook the lack of production in the G5. But yeah, I would love Mike Washington.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just interesting because like feels like a month ago, Mike Washington was like buzzing, and now it's kind of like quiet.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting.
Yeah.
When you have a combine like that, you'll get a lot of buzz, and then I think everyone kind of lets it kind of sit back. And you watch the tape and you realize like he's going to be a good player, but I don't think he's, necessarily in the first round conversation for sure. Hollywood Broncos says the linebackers are falling nicely. They are. It was actually, it's crazy. Like basically one legitimate off-ball linebacker was taken in the first round. I think that's good news for the Broncos to go. And there was something else I wanted to show in here. JD's 617 Gaming 2 asking the real questions, guys. And I'm curious what you guys think here. Do you prefer Lindor or Ferrero Rocher chocolate?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like, I kind of avoid both of them.
Never heard of either.
Yeah, I'm not a ball knower, I guess.
No? Oh, dude, Ferrero Rocher is the only.
It's like the cherries are in the chocolate coated thing at Christmas time. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait. But Lindor, I know that he was a big waste of money for
MLB. Yeah.
This is a pure chocolate question right here.
Yeah, pure chocolate. Our buddy David is saying Eli Stowers is elite, and
I've heard that for a while.
What are you hearing? Like, in terms of the NFL circles, Andy, what do you think he realistically? I mean, I know he can go between pick 33 and obviously 62, but do you think the NFL is really high on him, or is it just like, oh, this guy's just a more talented version of Oronde Gadsden?
I'd be surprised if he got out of the second round, to be honest. I think someone's going to bite. And I know in NFL circles, and this is a really interesting thing to me, but I know in NFL circles, like every single team, 31 teams say that, oh, Eli Stowers, that guy's a Bronco. Like they all are saying that he's a Broncos fit. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's someone out there that really likes him that's trading to 59, 60, or 61 to get ahead of us to take Stowers if someone really wants him. Houston at 58 would be an interesting one if they want to go get another pass catcher. Dalton Schultz is whatever. He's not stopping you from taking Stowers if they really like him. So I think he goes round 2, whether that's to the Broncos or someone trading up ahead of the Broncos. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he was on the board in the third round.
Yeah, I would be too. It's funny. I was gonna pull this thing up actually real quick because I thought this was kind of
laughing at what I'm out.
Yeah.
You what?
Pull up Trisket Demon's last comment.
Oh yeah.
That's I hope that's not true. Hope that's just comedy, but if that is true, God bless.
Holy moly, Trisket, God bless. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah. Either way, we're praying for your grandma, brother. That's for
Yeah.
sure. I was gonna pull this up on the mock draft because here's my fear. You know, somebody made a good point earlier that you know, this team's got a there's only one linebacker that went in the first round, but I'll also say this: I think that there's going to be a run on linebacker very similar to how there was a run on running backs and tight ends last year in the second round. You remember they just kept getting sniped; they were just falling off the board, and then we ended up trading back because if you look at it just based on the needs, like you got the Cardinals need a linebacker,
LB,
Bills
LB,
need a
LB,
linebacker,
LB,
the
LB.
Giants need a linebacker, which maybe that changes with Harvell Reese, but I think they play him at edge.
Harbaugh
and then-
mentioned something about Reese playing linebacker to start out after they took him.
Nice. So they've already ruined his career. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Heard that one before. But yeah, big Bengals, Saints. So it's a deep linebacker class, man, just like it was a very deep running back and tight end class last year. And I remember that was like early part of the second round was the sweet spot. So I'm really not feeling optimistic that any of these guys, or a lot of these guys will be available. And I'm praying, I'm not going to lie, I am praying that Josiah Trotter gets picked early tomorrow because I do not want to have that conversation. I just don't think he's someone that fits. I'm just not a big Trotter guy, as I'm sure you guys all know. But now, when you look back on your board, Andy, you had Traden Stukes ranked really high, 35, I believe, on your board,
Love him. Yeah.
or 36.
He's good.
Guys, what do we think about a safety? Kodiak, I know you've talked about it a lot, but I think safety is a realistic possibility.
It's such a tough sell to me. Like, you know, you talked about McCoy, like once again, corner, just such a tough sell to me with where the team is in right now. Like safety, I would get it. Once again, another tough sell to me because of how good, not necessarily because the guy's at 62, but where we're at in the fourth round, like there are a lot of good safeties that are going to be there. Like presumably, at least we think. But you have like that's like the Clark, potentially Genesis. I know Ramsey's probably gone tomorrow, but even then Fitzgerald, if you decide to wait a little bit. Once again, you know, just with the strengths of where this team is as a unit, you can't sell me safety at 62. I know I like Halsey. I think Halsey's a darn good prospect. You can't sell it to me. You really can't sell it to me with our first pick.
Yeah.
It feels a little barren 2.0, a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it would be.
It would be
because you wouldn't play him a lot, but at least you're like, all right, there's for sure a plan for him for 2027. Because even when we took Barron, it was like maybe there's a plan, but it still wouldn't be 2027. It was really like based off of maybe injuries or anything like that. But yeah, I thought maybe for some reason I thought I was gonna have a little bit more clarity as to the direction the Broncos would go. But I just honestly, guys, I think I'm just more confused at this point.
Let's go, boys. Shorty. Let's go.
We scored?
Yes, sir.
nice.
That's what I'm
Let's
talking
go.
about, man. The Avs are the real team. They could. The Nuggets could
absolutely.
learn a lot from them. You know, even though they finished it a little bit more strong, but is what it is.
Mark, what do you feel
All right.
about safety at 62 potentially?
How do I feel about safety at 62?
Yeah.
I'm kind of right there in the same ballpark with you guys. Like, I think that there's like I feel like if we get Halsey or Traden Stukes, like you're getting really good players. But again, it would be like, all right, it wouldn't surprise me because this front office through free agency has proven and has shown one thing. They've shown that they are very, very comfortable and confident with this current roster. And so if they're going to continue with that trend, they're going to, you know, continue to build out for the future. I think that's always been their philosophy for the draft anyways. But yeah, it would be like, I'm trying to have really low expectations because I'm trying to be like pragmatic and say, all right, you have to kind of understand the situation. And I feel like we're all desperate. I mean, maybe not everybody, but like I'm so desperate for like a really exciting draft because I felt like, yes, the Jalen Waddle trade was awesome, but that was all we did.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like a lot of that's worn off. So it's like, I kind of want to do something crazy and kind of fun. But then again, you always have to keep in mind that like you got to be really smart. Which is why still like trading back and getting more picks, I think makes a lot of sense in this particular draft. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see, man. It can go a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
A lot of different ways.
Of course. And once again, we do need safety, but again, it's such a tough sell to me at 62.
Yeah.
We will take one though.
Yeah. I think at some point. I
would
think
almost
that those 4th round picks are that sweet spot. I mean, those are the ones that I think really will make or break the draft, but the first one's always going to be exciting.
That's why I almost think like 62 is a good trade back. Because if you don't have a guy that you're in love with at 62, trade back, get another guy in a sweet spot that you can, because it does seem like it is really packed in that middle of that early 4th. If you can get another pick there, and it just seems like, man, that's where you can get double up on tight end, get a safety and a running back, whatever, it's just like, seems like all the mocks we do, it's just, man, it seems like I want all our picks to be from 90 to 125 or something, so.
Yeah.
If you,
I know. Go ahead.
They teased at being able to move up from, 108 and maybe going after a guy. And maybe they'd do that earlier. Maybe they use that to go up from 62 and get somebody in the 50s. But if they don't trade, if they either sit tight at 62 or move back, then it's going to be interesting to see what they do, because this is a year we don't, on paper, don't need like all kinds of players. You don't, I know like George Payton, I want all the darts and all that stuff, but like you're not desperate really anywhere. So do you put all your resources to get a couple guys that you really want, or do you try to spread it out? It's going to be interesting.
And you can make the argument for both, right? Because it's like, if they do really like the roster, then it could be like, man, let's just go balls out and get one particular guy that we really like, and then screw the rest of it, which I think brings me to my next question. I'm very much with Andy. I love Grayson Halton. I'm a massive Grayson Halton fan. And there are some guys that, like, I feel like, all right, I would like for them to, if getting them meant trading up a little bit, then I'd be cool with it. I think Grayson Halton's not one of them. But what's the range? Like, Andy, what do you think you start making those calls, and what are you realistically giving up for somebody like Grayson Halton?
I think T Fish has pointed it out in chat that the Falcons only have 5 picks in their team that we could trade up with at 47. That's a really good point there. That could be the team for Pregnon, if he's still available, would be the guy I'd go after first and foremost, and then Halton. I don't know if you would necessarily need a trade to 47 for Halton. I don't really know how he's viewed, because this draft there's just such a wide range of outcomes tomorrow, where a guy I have early second could go late third, and a guy I have late third could go at the top of the second. So I don't really know. But in terms of what I would give up to move up for him, I don't know. I'm not like too adamant on giving up a lot to move up, because at the end of the day, I think this team, while this team only has a few needs, I think it's still important to shore up the depth on this team, because I don't really like some of the depth we have. For example, the tight end room. I want 2 tight ends in this draft. Yeah. I've been very vocal about that.
You don't like our tight end depth? I haven't heard that at all.
I don't like our tight ends in general.
I don't like any tight end starters on our roster. I don't like any.
I was like, nobody likes our starters, and nobody likes our bench guys, and nobody likes our practice squad dudes.
Kodiak, remind me what Nate Adkins' drop rate was this past season.
27.3%.
Yes.
That's pretty damn impressive.
Gosh dang.
Terrible.
That's pretty damn impressive.
And I want a running back in the draft. I want an offensive lineman in the draft. I want a defensive tackle in the draft. And I want a linebacker in the draft. And then they might take a defensive back in the draft. So that's a lot. So I wouldn't give up a ton. And generally, I've talked myself into every possibility other than Jennings Dunker or Kamari Ramsey at 62. And I know you really want Jennings Dunker, Mark. But
I've kind of cooled on him a little bit.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say cooled. Like, I've cooled on him at 62 for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Because again, when you really start diving deep, and then you realize, like, I like 108 or 111 for the lineman, whether it's an interior lineman, a guy that's got flex, a guy that's a tackle. I think that's a really good part of the draft to get those guys, you know, without kind of overspending. Because I feel like tackle, like if you're looking at getting a legitimate developmental tackle or someone you think could be a future tackle, is very similar to quarterback in a sense of like, if you don't take one in the first with a premium pick, then you're better off waiting and getting somebody with some traits and all that kind of stuff later. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. Like, I don't think that there's a tackle prospect that I would be comfortable taking at 62. Not one that I feel comfortable enough. Like, I'm good. I'd be good with Pregnon, even though he's a guard, but it's because I feel like he's going to be a really damn good one. And then that gives you some flexibility with what you can do with Ben Powers. But I don't know why. I've over the last week or so, I've had this really weird feeling that we are going to make a player trade. Like, I think we're going to look to maybe trade Ben Powers for some picks or trade for Kyle Pitts, which I'm not a fan of. But I feel like something like that is kind of in the works. I feel like that has some legs, but it's more just a feeling. And you know, T. Fishes did mention the Falcons, right? Falcons do want to trade Kyle Pitts. A big reason is, they don't want to pay him and the fit, but I think a lot of it is they also maybe would like to have a little bit more picks. So would you guys be open to trading 62 for Pitts or not really?
I would say no. The reason I say no is because at that point I would rather just go for Stowers. Okay. Like, I know that Pitts, like, obviously has a great, he was one of the best tight end prospects ever, but it really struggled to get off the ground for him. And my concern with Pitts is that if you're going to give up 62, I'd rather do that for a multi-year asset. And Pitts is going to want to be paid after this year. You know, we already struggled enough as is to involve Evan Ingram in the offense. And I know that, you know what, you could say whatever you want about Ingram, but listen, when, you know, it is a tell for the defense. And, you know, I brought this up, one of the biggest trends, I think, in the past year or two when it comes to looking at players is when you can and can't deploy them. And that was a big topic of conversation for the Broncos this past year. So, yeah, all that, I don't really see the fit here with Kyle Pitts. Like, I think now 108, 111, we'll talk about that. But I think 62, I'm not in on that.
Yeah, it's the contract for me. It's not the necessary player. You can have a lot of upcoming contracts on the books that you really need to plan ahead for. And paying Kyle Pitts, a guy who's produced 1 year, is just not. It's too much for me. I think I would rather have a tight end or just take your chances on 2 tight ends. But that would be me as far as that goes.
Yeah, you guys kind of just talked me out of it. I was like, yeah, and then I started thinking about, oh wait, he kind of does want top 5 tight end money, and he's not a top 5 tight end.
Yeah.
And he had over 900 yards with 5 touchdowns this past season, if I remember correctly. And he's a generational athlete at tight end. Like, no one will ever take that from him. And it does show, like, he is explosive. And I think with a creative offensive coordinator and a good quarterback, he would record a lot of yards. I wouldn't say over 1,000 yards here, because with the Waddle targets and the Sutton targets and the Pat Bryant targets and the Troy Franklin targets and the whatever, I wouldn't say Pitts would get 1,000 yards here. So yeah, I do kind of like, you guys did kind of talk me out of the idea of trading 62 for Pitts, because if you do want a weapon tight end, you could just take Stowers at 62 and you have that guy for 4 years versus Pitts for, theoretically, you could trade 62 for Pitts, make him play the year, make him prove himself, and he could just be Ingram, and you traded 62 for a 1-year player. So yeah, you guys did kind of just talk me out of that.
Yeah, and like if it was the MLB, like, it'd be a different story, because obviously we got the richest owners and you do throw around all the cash you want. But again, you know, with the fit and the shot paying offense, I just don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, but before I do that, we consistently have had over 110 people on the stream. You guys are awesome.
Yes,
but please,
thank you.
Do me a favor, go and subscribe to my friends. Broncos Unbridled is going to be Jeremy's. Put your handles in the comments at Kodiak Broncos Podcast, and go subscribe to the best draft Substack there is at Andy NFL. Follow him on Twitter. Show us some love. I appreciate you guys all being in on this draft. So that would be super helpful. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit though.
Okay.
And I'm going to preface by saying this. I'm right there with you guys. I do not care for Kyle Pitts at all, but you can kind of make it make sense. And this is how you would do it. So I think the only way you could sell me on it is if you traded a player straight up for Kyle Pitts. I know this is going to drive Jeremy crazy, but like, let's just say you traded Riley Moss straight up for Kyle Pitts. Okay. And you're able to retain pick 62. Then you could say, all right, it could make sense. You could post June 1st cut Evan Ingram. You'd save like $6-7 million. So you talk about the cap. You have a little bit of cap relief there. And then if you're going to sign, if you feel confident that you're going to re-sign Riley Moss, you don't even entertain it. But if you feel like, man, there's a pretty good chance we're not, and we already have a plan in place with Barron, then that could make sense. So then it's like, okay, you're able to retain that 62 pick, which I think could be very valuable. And then you can go like a lot of different ways with it. And then the contract becomes not really much of an issue. Does that kind of change anything for y'all? Or are you still like, it's just not really smart roster building?
Nah, I'm not. No.
It depends, because I know the Falcons have a high asking price for Pitts. They are not going to move Pitts for, now that we're out of round one. I know that initially they wanted a first round pick for him, which is
not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
No.
So now I think their asking price, if the Broncos called, would be something along the lines of 62 in Troy Franklin. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that either. The reason that I would be only intrigued by it, I feel like if you were to get Pitts, it would be very important to offload Evan Ingram, because then it's not so convoluted. You have like two of the same guys battling it out. You could just like fully utilize Pitts the way that you want to do, and then build out the tight end room like separately. I think that would be really important. And I would definitely be open to the idea if we're able to keep pick 62, because I think that I just feel like it's a really important future pick, and you feel a little bit better that it was something to kind of develop out the future depth at other positions. But yeah, I'm kind of all out on Kyle Pitts myself. But what about like trading Ben Powers and getting something for it? Like maybe a team is, hey, we'll throw you another 4th rounder for him. I think that would be a little bit rich, but
I don't think they're moving their starting 5. Like, I just don't.
You think it changes if they were to draft Pregnon, for example, at 62? The reason this can't leave my head. Like, it's not leaving my head. The fact that they did nothing with his contract is weird to me. That kind of signaled they might end up trading him, because if they redid the contract, I think it would have been with the understanding of like, you're going to be the starter, you're not going to get traded. And they obviously didn't want to just completely cut him because they found some value. And they did sign Palcho. The fact that they just left it untouched is kind of weird to me. It kind of signals like, maybe we'll, and it could be that they just, hey, if they end up getting a Pregnon, let's see how the draft goes, and looks like he's ready to be the starter, they could just flat out cut him or trade him for a future pick and save a lot of money on the cap. But do you think there's anything
it could
to
be.
That, or am I just tripping?
It could be, but remember he got hurt, and it's not a good look to be like, oh, you got hurt, so redo your contract. So that's a slippery slope. It's just, I don't think they're moving any of their top 5 guys. But I would be kind of surprised if Powers was still a starter in 2027.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's for sure. But it's like, again, it's just strange. Like, they did nothing, and then they announced that they signed Palcho, and that was always weird to me, and it kind of stuck with me. But I don't know, Kodiak or Andy, do you guys have any thoughts on that? Derek, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat, man. I just saw it, and it was funny that we were talking about Powers, so it worked out. But I wonder what the return would be on a Powers trade. I don't know what it would be. Personally, I don't think that we'd realistically be able to get a lot. You'd probably get a better pick if you traded him in training camp to a desperate team for 27, but I don't think you would get much in this year's draft. But it is something that's kind of always been stuck in my head. But yeah, guys, any thoughts on Powers just in general?
It was weird, that you did mention that, because that they did nothing with this contract. Like, if they had hit him with like a 1-year extension and then like a restructure, then I don't know, you would have been committing to him obviously more for this year. But I don't know, everything that we've heard about Powers, from the night that we were told that nothing was going to happen to him from Mike Klis. I don't think the organization deviates from that, if that makes sense. Like, obviously you said it, they feel very confident with their roster. And I think Powers is a part of that. I think, they really like the nucleus they have in place. And I think, it's just, I don't think it'd be worth it for them to move off of, Powers right now versus what the return would be. Like, if you were to get a 4th round pick, then yeah, maybe we talk about that because he only has 1 year left on his deal. Even then, I'm just like, well, you're still in your Super Bowl window, so you got to weigh like future versus production now. But even then, like, I don't know, I just don't think it'd be worth it necessarily, but we'll see. I think you're right that you're better just fleecing a team that's absolutely desperate. Like maybe a starter goes down in like training camp, like August, July, and they're just like, oh crap, we have no plan in place. And if it's a contending team, then maybe, yeah, you can get something for him.
Andy, any thoughts?
I think the only reason you would trade Powers is if you trade up in the draft for Emmanuel Pregnon, and then you start calling around going into day 3 and seeing if teams have anything to get you to recoup a little bit of what you lost to move up to get Pregnon. That is the only world I see. Damn. That is the only world I see Powers getting traded. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. And that's the thing. It would certainly be a conversation if you were to draft Pregnon, in my opinion, because eventually I love the fact that we've spent a lot of money on our O-line. I think it's the bread and butter of the team. It's been the biggest reason why we've had the success that we have. But eventually, you have to get younger and cheaper there. That's why I really want to get like a developmental tackle too, potentially, because for those exact reasons. Because sure, you want to go all in for a Super Bowl, but you don't want to. Whether you win the Super Bowl or you don't want to find yourself regressing like crazy because, you have a patchwork old offensive line and you didn't really, plan for it. And then you got to be desperate there. But I trust that they'll make the most out of it. So we're coming up on the hour mark. We'll got to get wrapping up soon. I don't know if there's anything else that you guys specifically wanted to cover or maybe some comments that you wanted to address here. Happy to do that as well.
The only questions I have for you guys is just looking at where we're drafting as of right now. Let's assume trades aren't happening. Doesn't it seem, tell me if I'm wrong, but doesn't it seem like the linebacker and maybe defensive tackle window is 62-ish to that range? Because there's going to be probably tight ends available at 108, and there's probably going to be running backs available at 108. If those are your top 4 positions of need that you're looking at, wouldn't this make the most sense for linebacker? Because the linebackers that we've all talked about, I don't see any of them probably being there at 108. So doesn't that kind of focus them a little bit?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And here's why, because, I've talked about like, the draft is a game of opportunity cost and like, oh, it's strong here, but not strong here. Okay. Right. If that makes sense. Like, we've talked about it. Like the tight ends that are going to be picked in the 4th round, they're going to be pretty darn good as opposed to the other positions that are going to be picked in the 4th round. So yeah, I like your line of thinking. I think you're entirely correct there. I think, if you decide to go with the D-line or a linebacker group, I honestly can't blame you for it because it's the same thing I've said about safety. The reason I've said you can't take a safety high is because it's going to be so strong later on. Boom, empty netter. Let's go. But yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Interesting to think about.
What do you think, Mark, Andy?
Yeah, I just think like you mentioned, kind of just the value is going to stack up so much better at 62 for a linebacker and at 108 for a tight end, because at 62, I think you would be taking the first of the Delp, Raritan, Jolie, Claire, and Roush. You would be taking the first of those guys. Whereas at 108, you might be getting a faller. I don't think all of those guys are gone by 108. So, and then at linebacker, we've talked about it so many times where CJ Allen, Jacob Rodriguez, Josiah Trotter, Anthony Hill Jr., Jake Golday will all be second-round picks tomorrow. And then I wouldn't be surprised if you see Kyle Lewis, Caleb Alarmzor, and maybe an additional one in the 3rd round. I know Jimmy Rolder from Michigan has gotten some late buzz. So I think you want to get the linebacker of your choosing at 62 if they value it really high, because there is a solid chance that you're not you're not getting the guy you want at 108.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, looking at last year, and I know they're different classes, but like last year, the second round was massive for tight ends, for running backs. But there was also a lot of linebackers that went there too. I mean, Carson Schwessinger went for like in first pick in the second round at 33. And then there was Demetrius Knight. And was last year's linebacker class considered very deep? I don't think it was like it is this year.
This year's is deeper.
Yeah. And then, but that was it in the second round. So Jeremy's kind of onto something, but it's also like you should be able to get one of the guys that you like. I just hope it's not Trotter, but the other guys at 22. But there will be quite a run, I think, tomorrow on tight ends. And I think just because it's a position that guys are always teams are always trying to fill, and then you could always at least get him to play, a lot of special teams. But there was quite a bit of tackles that went. There was a lot of edge guys, a whole bunch of edge guys as well. So those seem to be the positions that dominate there as well. So, yeah, we'll see, man. I'm super pumped for tomorrow. But any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up?
Am I going to be the one defender of the Trotter at 62 pick in this group? If it happens?
I'm with you. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Because
How are we defending based off of what I know? How are we defending Trotter?
I'd be happy for him. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't be like vomiting. I just wouldn't be excited.
I like Trotter better than Golday personally.
I do too.
For the Broncos though.
In general.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't weigh fit as much because I kind of just think that if you're taking who I think is the better prospect, you'll be able to find the fit in due time. But it doesn't matter.
Sell me on Trotter. No, I'm curious.
Let me pull up
because I am kind of preparing myself for him being the pick, so maybe I can get ahead of it,
Because isn't that who Albright said today?
Yeah.
Oh, is that who?
Well, that makes me out.
Well, yep. I was about to say, Mark, you're good. You're good. No, but I think Halsey and Trotter are the two guys that I gotta.
We're gonna take one of them.
Yeah, like
I've had I keep saying it in our server. I've had the Halsey visions for the past 72 hours, and I keep seeing them. I keep seeing AJ Halsey in a Denver Broncos uniform with the 62nd pick in the draft.
You're hallucinating.
Yeah. But on Trotter, I said that
That's good.
he's an elite downhill linebacker, quick play diagnosis and trigger, very good sideline to sideline speed, takes super efficient pursuit angles to the ball, finds the hole rapidly when sent as a blitzer, and he rarely misses tackles. My weaknesses on him all had to do with third down, basically. He's raw in zone coverage. He bites on play actions, and he's probably not much of a factor on third downs. So, the Nick Bolton comp, I believe, is what you said, Kodiak, right? I do see it in a way, but I think Trotter can certainly be better because he was so productive as a tackler this year. He's such a good downhill linebacker, and I just like the trigger downhill. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, if you're really prioritizing a coverage linebacker at 62, not your pick. Not your pick at all. But he was one of those guys I got to the full film review in November, and when I sat down and watched multiple games, I was in love. I had him as my linebacker 3 for a few weeks. He finished as my linebacker 5, below Styles, Reese, Allen, and Rodriguez. But in terms of the tier, we're talking about Trotter, Hill, and Golday. I'm the odd one that would take Josiah Trotter, I think.
Yeah, to me, it's
you know this a lot better than I do.
It's the diagnosing.
But when you said, I don't think you could play him on third downs, that's why I asked for the Broncos, though, because that is where we need a linebacker. I'm not worried about Sternad and Singleton on first and second down.
I think you could play
third down.
Yeah, I think you could play Trotter on third downs eventually. It's not like a skill issue. I think he can develop as a third down linebacker. He's just very raw. He's just noticeably raw, and you have to be patient with him. But if you're patient with him and you give him the opportunities to be your future linebacker 1, I think he could deliver on that.
And he's 20.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's
I
the
was literally
thing.
about to say he's one of the youngest players in the draft this year.
Yeah, he declared as a
I didn't
redshirt
know that.
sophomore. Yeah, so he got really good feedback from the league, saying that he's a second round pick, and apparently getting really good feedback from the Broncos if Mr. Albright thinks he's going 62. And yeah, the places he has weaknesses in, it's not that he's bad in them per se. It's just that he's raw, which is the case for a 20-year-old redshirt sophomore declaring for the draft. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm ultimately betting on him, is because I think his upside is really high. And I will be honestly very happy if the Broncos take him at 62 tomorrow. It's on the, I'll make a list for it tomorrow. But he'll be one of the higher outcomes.
I'll tell you one thing. Like, if they were just to take one at 62, I'd be happy. Like, literally. I think, tight end and inside linebacker, I'm willing to do almost anything to solve it. And you know what? I think Trotter at 62, like, once again, he's just not my cup of tea for what I look for in my prospects. But you know what? If you're watching Zion Young, I can promise you that Trotter is going to stick out a heck of a lot to you if you're watching this class.
Yeah, I do love the tenacity that he plays with. There's no doubt about it. I just worry that it's going to be like, okay, just another similar thing that we already have. I didn't know he was 20. That was pretty cool. Speaking of age, the Chargers' first-round pick is 2 years older than Jonah Ellis.
And he's older than Bo Nix, isn't he?
Yeah,
they always clowned Bo Nix's age, and their
cool.
first-round pick this year is older than Bo Nix.
2 years older than Ellis, and Ellis is going to win his third year. That's wild. But did Josiah Trotter, did he run at all? I don't think he even tested, right?
Wait, did he?
I think that's another thing I worried about, because it was like, why aren't you testing? Because if he was like, if the athletics stuff was good, I would be like, all right, at least you can see the upside. But was he just worried because he's not all that fast?
The thing I'll say is, like, it might not be a speed on like a 40-yard dash, but when you turn on the tape and you see him range sideline to sideline and like explode downhill, I do think he's athletic for the position.
Yeah.
It might not be the case when he's out of pads but when you see somebody on tape that's fast in pads in a sideline to sideline range, yeah, I think he's a solid athlete, all things considered. I'm trying to see if he did any testing.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him being slow necessarily, especially sideline to sideline from the run, because you saw that with the run. But it's more like in space when you have to like switch directions and flip and kind of read and diagnose. And I know you had said he's raw there. He probably wasn't asked to do that a whole lot at Mizzou, but I mean, hey, I already feel a lot better about it, just from the sense of like that he is really young. Obviously, love the fact that his dad was playing in the league too. That's a big plus for me.
And he has high IQ, so like it shows that he's been around football for so long, because he's really smart. But the one testing thing I did get on him, he didn't do any like running testing or vertical testing, but he did bench press 27 reps, which was the most among linebackers at the combine. So that's pretty cool.
He's strong.
Yeah,
strong boy.
And that's another thing that you see.
Mm-hmm.
You see on tape, because when he explodes, he doesn't miss tackles. And that's the thing about him, is when you explode downhill and you're always the first one to get involved in a play and you don't miss tackles, that translates to the next level. And that's something that sometimes we have not seen in this linebacker room. Singleton can be the first to get to a ball carrier and then whiff on a tackle, and then he gets to the second or third level.
Yeah, speaking of age, the young guys probably don't remember this guy playing, but they know the legend of him. But he plays similarly for me, like Al Wilson. And it's just like that big attacking
one of my favorites.
Thumper guy. So that's what I like about him. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, he is 21. He turned 21 last week. So off my
Happy
board.
birthday, Josiah.
Yeah. Off my board.
He's too old. I can see it though, man. I can see it, and I can just picture the press conference. Sean and George talking about like, of course we knew his dad, his father, and we
first round grade for us.
And we saw a lot of the vision that we have. We saw a lot, like just like they said with Harvey, which they actually ended up being right with. They were like, we saw a lot of pass catching upside with Harvey, and I was like, really? Where?
I didn't see it on tape.
They did see something. Ironically.
It's so weird, because I saw like college Harvey versus pro Harvey, such a different player in my eyes.
Completely different players.
he was thought to have good vision in college, and his vision was pretty terrible at this past season. But
Yeah.
he wasn't a pass catcher at UCF, and then he was a pretty proficient pass catcher
A
this
damn
year,
good
so-
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
I felt like they just told him stop bouncing it outside. Whatever you do, do not bounce it outside. So he was like stuck to being like, I have to run forward no matter what. And I was like, well, no, don't never bounce it outside, but just don't rely on that. So,
yeah.
I like this
I'd rather
comment
have
from
a
Mike.
20-year-old be bad in developing on third down than a 32-year-old with one testicle that sucks at first.
preach.
Honestly,
Yeah.
real. Like you
Going
said,
right
you're,
for the
Coming
nuts.
through.
you're
Did
at
you
That
least-
guys
is
see
so
that?
funny.
You're
Did
doing
you guys see that he's
something.
a kid? Single nut?
Yeah, single
single
nut. Oh
nuts?
yeah. I was like, how did you have enough left in the tank to make one?
That's insane power. Like
I kind of got to the point, man, where like I just feel almost feel like bad giving shit to Alex Singleton because it's like,
yeah, I know.
dude, you got to think about his story, like not just with the cancer stuff last year, but I mean, this guy played in like what, the UFL or XFL or whatever.
CFL, yeah.
CFL,
You know,
yeah.
He's overachieved.
Gets
in
an
his career, for
invite to
sure.
a team, like makes it on special teams, earns a starting position, tears his ACL in a game, and plays the whole game.
And plays
Ironically,
good.
didn't
Like
look
that was
much
one of
slower, which was like, maybe
It was
need an
like-
ACL.
you watched
Crazy.
it on you. Yeah, I watched that game on tape and just like watched him to see if there was any difference. He was actually that was his best game of the year.
Yeah,
Like
And he
Yeah.
made the game turning play against the Bills. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. Like
Yeah.
him causing that fumble made that game flip on its head right then.
massive. This is, I think Darian said it best. Great guy, bad,
bad
football
football.
player.
He's
Yeah.
not bad. He's just not great.
I'm mad he overachieved on my team. Yeah, there's that. I think for me, man, like the argument for Gold Day over Trotter for me is like similar but almost opposite. Because I see somebody that, like, you talk about raw and still developing. That is Jake Golday. And I think he's got to have to develop into being like a more traditional linebacker. But I think he's a pretty damn proficient when it comes to cover. I mean, the fact that he played in the slot as much as he did and was tasked to do it. And I love the tools, man. Like, the guy's got the length and the size and the speed. So, I mean, that's kind of what intrigued me more, is like I think it's because he profiles as something very different than what we have. And maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way, but it's like what we have, bad. So profiling opposite equals good. And obviously that's not how it works, but that's kind of how I always looked at it. But I'd be pumped with Gold Day. You guys have sold me into Trotter as well. I think just like you said, addressing the linebacker position in general would just be a big win. So I'm
I
hoping
got
that's
Drew
the case, and we'll-
Sanders. I have Drew Sanders PTSD when it comes to Gold Day a little bit.
The
you?
Aussie comment in the chat has me dying.
Oh.
So true.
Yes,
It is.
exactly.
So true. Or like they'll just move him to nickel. And then all of a sudden now it's like where that Barron is just like, you're not even going to play Jade Barron at that point. Yeah, no, that would be
Barron's moving to tight end.
ultimate trolling, but it
Yeah.
could certainly happen, man.
You know what?
Um,
Barron would give us a better tight end deployment than Lucas Kroll.
He'd be a better blocker than Adam Troutman.
You're right.
But I do got to give some love to David. Jake Golday is a 9.84 Raz. I know David loves his Raz. And so,
I think David's the biggest RAS believer I know.
yeah, and I love it. I think I
He's
was
a
watching
little
you guys' mock draft, and there was a certain player. I put it in the comments, but I forgot who it was. I was like, are you more mad that he has short arms or that he doesn't have a RAS score? You know, something like that.
Bain?
Is it?
Oh,
what was it?
Halsey.
Ruben Bain?
It
Oh,
was- I
Halsey.
think it was Halsey with David, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I got to go back and. I
It
can
was
probably just-
Roush. I thought he hit that had short arms.
Oh.
No, well, he did, but it was so funny too. He also said something like 30-inch arms, bad pick, and it was so funny. I was like, that's like the best David take ever.
David's like the prototypical Green Bay Packers. Like he has the same thresholds as the Green Bay Packers have to draft. They have the length requirements, they have the athletic requirements. You have to fit this prototype and this prototype, and it all kind of aligns with what David thinks. So I think David's future NFL GM. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I love it, and a lot of times it's funny, and you know, every year that goes by, like certain things will get proven. Like if Ruben Bain ends up being the steal of the draft, like I think a lot of us think, then you're just like, arm length doesn't really matter all that much. But if he ends up not being all that good, you're like, well, the NFL maybe they knew something about short arms and edge rushers, and you know, same thing with Roush. But I already know, man. If we took Roush, obviously I'd be pumped. The second that like a pass goes off his fingertips, nobody's gonna blame Bo. Everyone's gonna be like, see, if he had longer arms, he'd have caught it. Because we were doing that shit with Riley Moss too. Like Riley Moss was always fingernails apart, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's what happens when you got short arms. So I'm just like that I'm not looking forward to. I'm like, I hope everything's thrown perfectly and he could just catch it. But I mean, we'll see. You know,
that would be,
obviously thresholds exist for a reason, right? There's obviously some
Yeah.
data that backs it up one way or the other. So
if Roush drops one off of his fingertips and he's a Bronco, that would be when David comes in the chat and says, "Oh, Eli Stowers would have caught that."
yeah,
No, Raritan.
That's where I come in the chat, and I'm just like, guys, did I not tell you that in February I was just watching this dude drop passes in my shower when I was doing all these film sessions all the time?
and I feel like dude, there's so many like these scenarios go in my head so much, like the pick versus like what happens in the end. Like I was even thinking about it today. I was like, dude, if we took Raritan, we'd all be pretty fired up about it, I think, for the most part, and then Jeremy would be pissed, right? But then
It just
like,
depends
if-
where.
Well, like let's say at 62, right?
Yeah.
And then
absolutely.
and then if Raritan like tears his ACL in camp, he's gonna be like, I fucking told y'all.
Totally would be.
I
my
told you it was a-
100% would.
I
I
told
would
you it was a
die.
shitty pick, and we're like, oh my god, he was right. It's like, and obviously you never wish that, but it's like,
No.
holy, you know, like those scenarios always go in there too. And that's
I
what
would
makes this whole
die.
thing so damn fun, man. But
All right,
yeah, I'd be rolling.
Let me ask real quick, around the horn. Let me give you 3 people at 62. Who would you take? I'm going to give you Mike Washington Jr. I'm going to give you Anthony Hill. And I'm going to give you Eli Raritan. Go ahead. Mark started off.
Mike Washington Jr., Anthony Hill, Eli Raritan.
Yeah.
Oh, at 62, I would say Anthony Hill Jr.
Okay. Kodiak.
Mike Washington.
Andy.
Probably Anthony Hill.
Yep.
It's the
Hill
easiest.
for
Like
me, probably.
Andy's
it's-
job now is way easier than ours. He already put all the work in. So instead of us like sitting there having
Check
to
the
think about
board.
it, he just looks at his board. He's like, Anthony Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, it does matter what team is doing it, but yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, see, it's one of my hotter takes, but I would rather Trotter over Hill. I know the whole fan base kind of wants Hill.
Interesting.
I would
Uh,
rather Trotter over Hill.
That's why I picked Hill, just because I didn't want to give it to be like someone we just literally talked about. But,
yeah.
But and Talib is like completely sold on Anthony Hill. I think we're trading at. Remember, he said even 44. Which who's picking at 44?
I don't know.
How would
The
he
fact
know
that
that specifically?
Yeah, the fact that he name dropped 44, because you could say anything. You could say, oh, they traded
The
10
Jets.
spots.
Okay, so
Muji.
Moogie.
Maybe.
They gave up like nothing. I would say that it's more possible, but they gave up like nothing to move into round 1. They gave up like either like a 5th or a 6th round pick to move up into round 1 for Omar Cooper.
It tells
Yeah,
you that
they
this
cooked.
draft is not it. As far as
Yeah.
like there people, it's like nobody give up anything for next year, and we'll be gracious with moving around this year because it's just kind of I don't know.
Well, and
That's what it
you can
feels like.
see like the desperate teams like with not good rosters, they love it because they're just like, bro, give me as many good players as I possibly can get.
Mhm.
And then other teams are like, we like these guys, but not at the value, and we're good with what we have. So it makes sense. Like it ended up being a really good draft. For a team like the Jets, like if you nail even 2 of those 3, that's a pretty damn good foundation. But yeah, I was happy they got Omar Cooper, man, for them.
I don't
Just
like
for
what they
Eli's
did at
sake.
2.
For my guy Eli.
Yeah, I just don't like what they did at 2.
Yeah, I know.
I like Sadiq. I like Cooper.
Yeah,
it should have
and
been
that's one.
Arvell.
And that's one of those where, man, if David Bailey ends up being really damn good, obviously you're gonna be like, it was worth it. Even if Arvell Reese and Boehner are really good, but it definitely puts a lot of pressure on that pick. Like
Oh, absolutely.
David Bailey's gonna have to be a freaking stud, bona fide stud.
Yeah.
Um,
My problem with him has always just been like the lack of counters on tape, and like I just don't know if he's enough of a translatable player to take it the 2nd overall pick. I don't know. I
Yeah.
could be completely off, but
I'm just looking for. I mean, I guess I'm not looking forward to because I never wish somebody's like career starts off shitty, but it's gonna be really interesting to see what Nathaniel Hackett does with Jeremiah Love because my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, who I'm praying on. You say you never want players' careers to start off shitty. I respect that, but Fernando Mendoza, Mansour Delane, Akeem Mesidor, and Peter Woods, all of them could go off themselves now.
Yep. Yep. Until like 4 years when their contract's up, and if they end up being good players, they're more than welcome to be here. But yeah,
yeah, Peter Woods would be Peter Woods would be a sick late JFM replacement in 4 years if we still haven't figured it out.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Freaking have a massive hole in 4 years. We're like, yeah, we'll take Peter Woods. That's fine. All right, gents. Well, you guys are awesome, man. I appreciate you guys riding with me. Everyone in the chat, you guys are dope as well. Cannot wait for tomorrow. Hopefully, you guys all get some rest. And we're going to be live again, 5 o'clock. Come hang out with us, party with us. I'm going to try my best, guys, to not spoil picks, but I know myself. I can't help myself, dude. If I see it on Twitter, if I see it on Twitter, I'm saying it.
Yeah.
You know? Sorry. I'm going to try not to, but I can't promise that it's going to work. But anyways, any last minute thoughts, guys, before you go? Anything coming up? You want to plug the channels or anything again that they can find you guys? Guys, again, please go subscribe to everybody's channel. Check out Andy's Substack. It's the easiest thing you could do to support us. Just click a button. That's it. I don't even care if you watch. I'd love for you to watch, but the subscribe is good enough too. Yeah. Mark, so bad.
I know. They hate me for some reason. I don't know. They think I'm reading off a script, but I just asked a question, so I don't know.
Right. I mean, I don't respond to people whose names are Peachy Gems, so I'm not even gonna give them that. But I don't know what Mark so bad is. Maybe something.
Oh, I think he was saying you tipping the picks.
Oh. Yeah, I'll try not to. But come ride with us tomorrow. I appreciate it, and yeah, have a wonderful night, man. Go Broncos! I cannot wait for tomorrow's pick. So, peace out, everybody.
Peace. Go Broncos.